An Irish folktale. One fine morning in Ireland, Michael O'Grady thought he would take a day's holiday. He walked through the village and then he went up the hill. And yeah, that's not a green rock. That represents a hill, okay? There on the right. All of a sudden, Michael heard a funny tapping coming from behind a wall. As you can see, the words in green are represented by the pictures that are on the right, okay? Quietly, he climbed up and peeped over the wall, where he saw a little man mending a shoe. It was the tap, tap of the hammer that Michael had heard. Okay, I'm assuming many of you don't know what peep. To peep is to look over. It's like you don't want somebody to see you, so you're trying to look like behind a wall or behind a door, something like that, okay? And mend a shoe is to fix, okay? Try to fix a shoe. Okay, let's go with slide 18. Michael knew that he was looking at a leprechaun, and everyone in Ireland knows that a leprechaun has a pot of gold hidden away in a secret place. Michael remembered that they say if you take your eyes off a leprechaun, he disappears. So he kept watching him all the time. He climbed carefully over the wall, crept across the grass, stretched out his arm and grabbed the leprechaun. Here you've got take your eyes off, which is obviously a phrasal verb. It doesn't mean you actually pull them out of your face. It means you keep looking at someone. And the word he crept across the grass means that you walk very carefully and quietly so that somebody doesn't see you or hear you. Let's continue reading. It says, now, he said, where is your pot of gold? Let's go to 19. The leprechaun twisted and turned, but he could not get free. He knew that he would have to take Michael to the place where he kept his gold. Off they went until they came to a field that was yellow with buttercups. At last the leprechaun stopped. He sighed, that's sighing, and pointed to the buttercup. So obviously, buttercups are those yellow flowers. Dig under that buttercup, he said, and you will find the pot of gold. Okay, and Michael would need a shovel to dig up the gold. If he went home to get one, he would forget which buttercup he had to dig up. To dig is obviously to make a hole, and to find the gold, he obviously had to make a hole in the ground or in the soil to find the pot of gold. Okay, let's go with 20. Then he had an idea. He took off one of the red garters he was wearing. Then he tied it around the stem of the buttercup so that he would be sure to know which was the right flower when he came back. Okay, you've got a picture of a man there, and there are these two black things, elastic things, which are holding up his socks, okay? We don't use these anymore, but these were things that people used to use before to keep their socks up, and women used to keep up their stockings before with this as well, or their pantyhose. Yeah, so as there was only one flower, he wanted to tie his red garter around it, because if not, he was going to forget which flower was the correct one. Let's continue reading. He looked at the leprechaun. Promise you will not take that garter away from the flower, he said. I promise, said the leprechaun, crossing his heart. May I go now? Yes, said Michael. Now you have promised not to touch my mark. The leprechaun vanished into the air. Okay, so here's the buttercup tied. Here it's a ribbon, but it represents the red garter, okay? Slide 21. Michael ran home as fast as his legs could carry him. He was in through the front door and out again with the shovel before his mother could do more than shout, Michael O'Grady, come back. You have not eaten your dinner. Michael kept running all the way back to the buttercup field. And what did he see? Hundreds and hundreds of red garters on all the flowers in the field. The leprechaun had tricked him. Michael laughed and laughed all the way home. Okay, and the last slide is a bit of a game. It says, what's your leprechaun name? The last letter of your first name. So let's have a look. If my first name is Rose, the last letter is E. So I have to look for the E, and it says warty. Ooh, a warty. Many of you will remember that from the Natural Science Project, that one of the things that girls get if they don't have the human papillomavirus vaccination are warts, especially genital warts. So, I am a warty, and let's look at the second one. It says the first letter of your last name. Okay, so my last name begins with an S, and it says my name would be Warty McWoozy. Most Irish have names that begin with Mac, MC, or actually begin with an O and an apostrophe. But anyway, Woozy. Um, all of these are adjectives or nouns, okay? Somebody that's woozy is somebody that is not thinking well. It could be somebody that's maybe a little bit dizzy, a little bit drunk, or maybe just somebody that's not very intelligent and doesn't think, doesn't think properly. Is a nice way of saying it, okay? So, yeah, you would have to find your name and then look for it in the dictionary to see what your name would be. Mine's horrible, isn't it? Warty Woozy. Anyway, so happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody, and we hope you learn a little bit about St. Patrick's Day, although in the past years I know you've had classes related to St. Patrick's Day, but anyway, it's very, very popular. Unfortunately, I don't think this year, with the coronavirus thing going on, I don't think this year there'll be many St. Patrick's Day celebrations. Normally they're obviously in Ireland and in the United States, especially Chicago, where they actually dye the river green with obviously food dye. So they change the color of the water to green, and they have big parades. But I don't think that's going to be happening this year. But anyway, as I said, happy St. Patrick's Day from Diego and I, okay? Bye.